It's weird how much they screw us over and how much we don't do anything about it. That's because I think deep down, most of us know we can't do anything about it, because if we try to push back at our job, we could lose our job. And our job is our ability to make money and provide for ourselves. Essentially, they literally make sure that we're never able to comfortably make money and provide for ourselves, because if we were able to do that, we would be comfortable walking away. Power is walking away from the corporate system. It's so funny, is like corporations designed this whole system. Corporations set it up so that corporations are the ones that benefit from this whole system. But then we go to the corporations and we're like, pretty please, we know you set up this entire system so that you could benefit, but we don't like it. Could you change it? And they're like, no, we set it up so that we could benefit. We're not going to change it for you unless you figure out how to make us change it. And they were like, good luck with that, because we figured out how to make you all divided. So you're never going to figure out how to make us change our ways, because we're more powerful than you. We are cooperating. It's like a bug's life. They are the grasshoppers in a bug's life, but they're not special. They're not different. They're just working together to cooperate against us. Whereas we are the ants in a bug's life. And the ants didn't realize they had power when they realized it was 100-1. No, the ants always knew that they outnumbered the grasshoppers. The ants figured out that they were in charge because the grasshoppers needed them to get the food. Without the ants, the grasshoppers don't eat. Just like without employees, companies don't run, right? But man, a lot of the conversation sure seems like corporations are sentient, right? That, oh, we better watch out for the corporation. Oh, without the corporation, what are we going to do? But by my account, communities don't need corporations. Corporations are the ones that need communities. And that's the only reason. And corporations know how much they need communities, except they gaslight us all. They make us feel like, oh, the corporations are the ones that we need. They're the ones that make all the food. They're the ones that provide the health care. When in reality, the corporations want us to think that so bad, because they know we have the power and they're afraid, right? They are afraid. That's why it takes 1 week 1 year just to build up 1 month's worth of savings. Because corporations know that if they keep you without power, they have control over you. Back to a bug's life, right? It was only when the ants realized they had leverage, when the ants realized the grasshoppers needed them. Up until then, it was the grasshoppers' whole goal to make sure that the ants thought that, oh, without the grasshoppers, what would we do? And that's exactly the situation we're in now. We don't have any leverage, so we believe the ultra wealthy when they tell us that we need them. Well, the moment the ants figured out, right, that they control the food, that's when the ants had leverage. And they were like, oh, we do actually have the power. We control the food. Well, leverage for us is having some savings in our bank account. That's what leverage is. And we don't have any savings. The majority of Americans don't have any leverage. And that's why we're in the position we are in now, because corporations keep screwing us over and we don't have any way to push back. Here's how I can promise you that we don't have leverage, right? Here's how we can promise you that you don't have leverage. Could you quit your job tomorrow for a month? Could you quit your job tomorrow for 3 months? Well, if you can't, then you're kind of stuck, right? Well, your boss knows you're stuck, and they will exploit that, right? Hey, I need you to come in tomorrow. And you want to stay in that boss's good graces. You don't even want to say no. Because what if they say, oh, you got to come in tomorrow or you're fired, right? That's where I swear to God, if every American had 100 grand in their bank account, we could take back our political system like that. Because our political system relies on us being stuck economically. That's all it comes down to. They knew that us striking and not participating in the economy was the strongest thing we could do politically. So what they did is they separated our individual economic situation with our collective political situation. It's true. All of our individual economic situation is what affects our political situation. Because when all of us are working 40 hours a week and are still struggling to make ends meet, if you're just fighting for survival, you're never going to fight for change. And the people up top know that. All right, if we can just get them to tread water all the time, and they're constantly treading water, paying next month's rent, paying next month's utility. Oh, they're about to have some savings. Let's hit them with the car payment. Let's hit them with the car issue, right? So it's not a coincidence that the average salary is the same as the average cost of living. That's literally why it takes 1 year just to build up 1 month of savings. Because if you don't have leverage, you can't say no. And if you can't say no, your boss controls you. So, if it was just the economic situation, we'd be able to figure it out. But damn, these mofos took over the media too. And so they lie to us about what the actual problem is. It's almost funny to me how many people get fearful about illegal immigrants and get angry about trans athletes when that doesn't affect many people's day-to-day lives. So why is it that we're arguing over things that affect 5% of us, if that many? Well, it's because that distracts us from discussing the things that affect 95% of us, right? That's what's happening here. And the other issue is that essentially, if we don't have savings, we are not able to exercise the strongest things that we can do. Y'all, all we need to do is boycott and strike. But they took away our ability to strike because we don't have any savings, because it takes 1 month to save up it takes 1 year to save up 1 month's worth of savings. And that's because of this. And this isn't because we're bad negotiators. That's because they got rid of all the competition. Y'all, like, let me know. Does anybody give me yes or no answers to this? Does anybody have a local grocery store in your area? Is that local grocery store as convenient and as cheap as anywhere else? Who's got a local pharmacy near that by them? Yes or no? Throw it in the chat. You use a local pharmacy? Yes or no? What about a local newspaper? All those local newspapers got bought up, right? Local hardware stores, local grocery stores, all of it. Those types of businesses used to protect us from corporations. Because whether you have them there or not, you should have 10 more of them, right? Because it used to be that if we walked into Walmart and they were treating us like crap, we'd walk out, right? And we'd go to Charmitria's general store. And it's only after Walmart recognized, damn, we had 100 customers walk out this week because they said they were getting terrible customer service. Shit, maybe we need to pay our employees a little bit more so that they smile at our customers so that the customers stay around, right? We are sick of going to the grocery store and getting that limp pepper and that brown apple and that 3-week-old banana. Can I get some fresh eggs, please, up in here? I don't want to get eggs from Missouri when I'm over in Maryland. But we don't have the ability to do that right now. So us not having the ability to vote with our wallets, damn, the way we spend money actually affected our salaries. And that's why people say that we're consumers, not customers. Because, you don't really have a choice where you go for your general store. Your general store is probably either going to be Walmart or Target, right? Many people don't have a choice for their grocery store, especially if your finances dictate that you have to shop at the cheapest option. Well, then you're always going to be stuck in corporations, right? That's the new company town, the new company store. People that are working for corporations get paid absolute crap because they don't get paid a lot. They don't have a lot of money. Because they don't have a lot of money, they have to shop at the places with the cheapest prices. And the places with the cheapest prices are the corporations. So what we are doing is we're fixing it, yo. We are striking generally. That's what we have to do. That's the only thing that takes our power back. We have to be able to get leverage. Hell yeah, Termitra. I had a great idea yesterday. It's like we just need to create a food union. Hey, if you want clean food, we're starting a food union, a foonion. Because we all want clean food. Who is it that doesn't want clean food? Just the corporations, so they can try to make more money, right? So we're starting a union of people that want to buy clean food. So here's what we need to do. Protesting on its own doesn't really work, because we can go get mad on Saturday, but on Monday, we still have to participate in the corporate system because we don't have any other options. So we're sick of protesting being on its own, right? We need to link protesting and mass actions with our economic situation. We can't strike because corporations keep us barely scraping by. And we can't even boycott because they got rid of most of non-corporate options. We're economically dependent on, we're all like, yeah, we hate the corporate system. Let's change the corporate system. But then we're all economically dependent on the corporate system. So it's almost like we're trying to bite the hand that feeds us, but without recognizing that, well, that hand controls everything right now. They control all the food. They control all the housing. They control all the healthcare. Even if we manage to bite them, they could still retaliate and hurt us by getting rid of our access to freaking prescription medications, by getting rid of access to grocery stores. So we all need to understand the only two things that we need is to strike and boycott. That's it. Because protesting used to be, hey, how do we get the politicians to pay attention? But protesting on its own doesn't work, because politicians only care about billionaires and their corporations, because that's who pays their campaign financing. So we need to understand that, hey, we're not just pushing back against politicians. The goal is to not get politicians on their own to listen, right? Well, JJ, they're protesting because they're upset, they're frustrated, they're angry. And in the past, before Citizens United, when we got angry as citizens, we would go to our representative, thinking that our representatives had our best interests at heart, that they cared more about the community they hailed from rather than the corporation that's lining their pockets. Or they at least had enough moral fiber to be like, hey, corporation, I know I got to accept some money from you to become a politician. But in order to stay a politician, I need to grow a spine and watch out for my constituents, right? Not at all. I just, you are not someone that we're engaging with that comes in. I think that you are just like the people you're pushing out. You've been here for less than a minute. You're not even certain what this group is about, yet you come in all hot. So that's where I muted that person, because we've all got to take a lesson, yo, that like trying to convince people when they are coming from the complete opposite spectrum of, you know, not listening, but trying to push back, it's just going to slow us down, right? Because we obviously know what we're here for. We are explaining that protesting doesn't work anymore. Protesting doesn't work because politicians aren't beholden to their constituents. They're beholden to the corporations that pay the campaign financing, right? So because it's now politicians and corporations that are against us, that are on a team against us, that's how we have to think of it. Hey, we're not just trying to get corporations or get politicians to do their job, because the politicians are literally on the side of corporations. All of society has always been business trying to take the most from the constituents and the citizens, and employees trying to make a living, and politicians being the middlemen, playing peacemaker, trying to correct imbalances. That's all society is. Big business trying to make money, employees trying to prevent from becoming another company town from the 1800s and the early 1900s, and politicians are they just correct imbalances. That's it. So it's so funny when people are confused by that. Oh, they don't know what they're protesting. No, they're just thinking that politicians still correct the imbalances, because that's what they did for 50 and 60 years, right? So what we're actually saying is that, hey, all we need to do is hold corporations more accountable, because by my accounts, corporations need communities. Corporations need citizens. Without communities and without citizens, corporations don't exist. But I can promise you, humans can exist without corporations. We're the ones that farm the food and grow it. We're the ones that are the doctors and the healthcare providers. I don't know about you, but my pops and my dad and his friends are the ones that build the houses and build the buildings. I don't see Exxon going out there, because Exxon is a group of people at the top cooperating to try to extract and take the most of they can from the people underneath them. And all politicians were people that were there to help correct the imbalance. But now we have to understand politicians are now on the side of the corporations. No one is there to correct the imbalance. In other words, no one's coming to save us. We need to do this ourselves. We need to come together. Oh, but wait, that's why they've used the media for decades to try to divide us. That's why people go, oh, that one political corporation, man, they care about me. That one political corporation, they care about my family. They have my interests at heart. But that other corporation, they're trying to take down our country. Y'all, we don't trust regular corporations that are in it for just money. Why do we trust political corporations that are in it for power and money and control, right? Both parties are two sides of the same coin, and that coin is in a billionaire's pocket. They're like good cop, bad cop. One of them beats you up, and the other one is like, oh, I'm sorry. But they both work for the same corrupt department. That's all it comes down to. So any single time that we point fingers left, right, We're literally playing into the hands of the billionaires. We're being suckers. We're being patsies. We're being manipulated. So that's where we don't point fingers left or right here, because we understand that that is just a distraction. And what we've also learned is that as soon as people agree that, oh yeah, it's not left versus right, it's up versus down, then they get all up in arms over what you want next. Because apparently there's only three options. We've got billions of people on this planet. We've been around for millions of years as a species, but we only have three options for economic systems. Capitalism, socialism, communism. Which one is it? Which one do you want, Corey? Tell me now so I can either say that you're correct or get mad at you. That's where we've got localism, y'all. It's localism. When businesses are local, it works better for everyone. That's it. Keep the free market. Keep whatever else you want. It's when a company has 1,000 communities that it depends on to make profit. And rather than trying to create a mutually beneficial relationship with 1,000 of those communities, they try to be just good enough with 55% of those communities, and they try to actively screw over the other 45% of those communities. And it creates this K-shaped economy we've all been hearing about. Yep, Rip, but the hard part is I think 98% of candidates take corporate PAC money. We all know the strongest PACs. So what it is, Rip, is it's not just one solution. It's all these solutions wrapped together. We've got an entire, money out of politics arm that is working on all that. We work directly with Flair, who goes to the lobbyists regularly, who puts together action groups to go to the lobbyist in your area to push back. But all humans should have what they need to live. Because when humans aren't scrambling for the basics, when humans can afford the necessities, they actually contribute more to society, not less, right? That's what it is. And it's so stupid that we set up our society this way. You can tell that the people up top didn't think about this. They just continued on the same tradition as the kings before them, as the pharaohs before them, and said, oh, we need to oppress our population in order to consolidate our power, and that's the best way to run a society. It makes no sense. Because the majority of us, think of it this way. How do you get the most out of a human being? That's all we're really asking. How do you get the most out of a human being? Whether it's a society and you're trying to create a better society, or whether it's just a company. Because this is where it was once I had multiple employees that you start asking yourself this. Oh, do I want to try to give my employees the lowest salary possible so that they might not be very happy with their salary? They might not be able to afford housing very securely. And the employee is worried about where their money is coming from. Is that the right way to run a company or a society? Because that's the way we have it now, right? Is that people have to work the majority of their waking hours just to make ends meet, to have food and housing, not to have like this huge cushion, not to live this life of luxury. We are asleep. We work 40 hours a week. We sleep like, what was it? like 45 hours a week, 40 hours a week. And then we're only awake for like another 40, 50 hours. But that only gives us barely enough time to do what humans need to do to live. What we don't have time for is freaking human connection. And that's the point of life. They've taken away the point of life. And what they've tried to do was indoctrinate us since little children that the point of life is money. The point of life is money. But then even the people that have money are unhappy because money isn't the point of life. Money allows the resources for you to form human connections. Human connections are the reason of life, right? Harry, you just don't understand, and that's okay. You probably grew up in a different time, in a different area. And it doesn't matter if somebody is making $15 or $20 an hour. If the cost of living starts at $25 an hour, who cares if companies are paying them $15 and $20? What we're saying is that the cost of living and the average salary are about the same. It's so funny. And not only that, you do understand that a job is a boss saying, I want to make more money. So if you are offering your job for $15 or $20 an hour, well, that boss isn't only making $15 or $20 an hour. Generally, you want to try to like double what you're getting. So if you're paying your employee $20 an hour, generally that boss is bringing in $40 an hour. So the boss who does no extra work besides hiring an employee, that employee comes in, that employee can't afford housing or healthcare, so then they go on public assistance and it raises all of our taxes. But then the employer makes $20 an hour an extra for doing what? Hiring somebody and making all of us pay higher taxes? That's the part that we don't see. We believe that if somebody is underpaid, this is where it comes down to. We think that your economic situation is your fault and it only affects you. But as soon as we figure out that when everyone is underpaid and corporations are purposefully underpaying us, then their economic situation affects all of us. But they know that we will never come together to figure it out because they've spent so much money using the media to divide us. Oh, these people over here are wrong. These people over there are wrong. Oh, it's the illegal immigrants coming in. Don't look at Walmart, who's made $12 billion in profit last year. But then why does Walmart hold classes to show their employees to sign up for Medicaid? I am fine with them making $12 billion. It's just that all of their employees should not be subsidized by our taxes. That's it. And what it is they think we're, people are like, oh, well, why do people take this? And da-da-da, what is it like this? Because all of us are just constantly treading water. That's what it is. I used to call it the hamster wheel, but no, that's too nice. Because when you're treading water, you don't have perspective, right? You can't see why is what's happening. When you're treading water, man, you're fighting for survival. So the big question you ask, that 3-letter word, why? Why? Well, Cosmo, we were just talking about it. We don't use any of those words. Why is it that after millennia of human existence, or thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, we only have 3 economic systems to choose from? That's why this is called localism, right? It's not socialism, not capitalism, not communism, because all three of those words have been poisoned. And that wasn't by accident either. Just like us having savings isn't by accident, us not having savings isn't by accident. Them poisoning progressive language, I can promise you, was not by accident. That's why there's so many words that you say, right, that people automatically plug their ears, right? That they've automatically plugged their ears. Yes, Vivid, still here. Scavenger, then you're going to different general strikes than we are, because been to a lot of them, and it is, well, first of all, you don't go to a general strike. A general strike is generally you staying home. So maybe you went to a rally to support a general strike, but maybe the rest of the people were staying home. And that's kind of the point of a general strike, is to just stay home. So we got a 30-day general strike coming up. But shit, 30 days? That's a long time, we might say. But it's not a long time. Kind of the time that we need to strike. It just feels like a long time because we're not able to strike for that long. And you're not able to, not because you don't want to, right? It's because you can't. You don't have enough savings. You don't have enough security. But Harry, we can't stay home because look, corporations keep us barely scraping by. So the majority of Americans don't have savings. So if the majority of Americans don't have savings, we are not going to get them to strike. We're asking them to shoot themselves in the foot potentially? No way. Shoot, we can't even boycott in most scenarios. Corporations have made it so difficult that we have to use the corporate system. So here's the hard truth. We are economically dependent on the very people we're asking to change. We are all dependent on the corporate system. Don't believe me? You pay your health insurance to corporations. You pay your car payment to corporations. You fill your car up with gas from corporations. You pay your electricity to corporations. You pay your internet and your cell phone bill to corporations. Try replacing those with non-corporate options. You literally can't. And that's the problem. As long as we rely on the same corporate system that we're trying to change, why would they change? It's like we're trying to bite the hand that feeds us, but then we get confused when we don't, right? Well, Bobby Blades, I think the point is to show people what's happening in our society, why we could get 8 million people protesting during No Kings in November, but things only get worse. I think the point is to show people that nobody actually wants this in our society, that 30% of people have been brainwashed and they have corporations' thumb on the scale. So they're not actually wanting this situation. And it's basically to show people we have the power. We are the ants in a bug's life. But we don't take the power back just by recognizing that there is 100 of us and one of them. Just wait for it. I'm literally saying it. We take the power back by taking back control of the essentials, by reducing our dependence on corporations. Look, we do not have power because if we don't control our food supply, a country runs on its stomach. Corporations control the majority of the food in this country. But you think we have the power? Corporations do. Monsanto does. Post does. Corporations control all of the healthcare in this country, right? You can't go to a doctor, you can't get healthcare without paying a corporation. Corporations control transportation. They control power and electricity. They control internet and communications. So I just wish people would stay for like 30 seconds before they make a comment. 2 days. Where did you even get 2 days from? We have it for 30 days. And the whole point is people can't even strike for 2 days. If you're unable to strike, it's not because you don't want to, it's because you can't. Like alternate, read for 1 second, right? So as long as we rely on them for food, there's nothing we can do because we have to unplug permanently. If we want to create actual change, we need to control the essentials, build a system that provides us with food, with housing, with healthcare, without having to rely on corporations. Then, when we ask them to change and they say no, we can literally just walk away. That's it. We can literally just walk away. That's it. And here we go. So we are not that group, alternate. Y'all, this isn't some of us giving it our all. It's all of us giving it some. And I did get rid of those. But look, rather than this person saying, oh, these are some ideas I agree with, it's how can I divide? Oh, I bet you didn't get rid of this. And I cannot stand people like that because they seem to agree with what we're saying, but then come in like that. I am completely agreeing with everything you're saying. 2 days isn't going to do anything. That's why we use a 30-day strike to get people to understand they're most likely unable to strike. Well, if you're unable to strike, it's not because you don't want to. It's because the systems in place make it difficult for you to strike. So we are not only just striking, we are building the new systems that make it possible for us to strike. I say all of that, and that was your response. And then the other thing is, as soon as people are on top of this, ready? Look is one of those people that believes there are only 3 economic systems that humans have ever created. And we must choose one of those 3. Well, guess what? Look, just like how they've only given us 2 political parties to choose from, Democrats and Republicans, and no matter what you say, somebody is not going to like something about one of them, so then things never change. They did the same thing with economic systems, right? You are so stuck in a system that was developed 100 years ago that you can't even fathom something that doesn't work for corporations. Absolutely, Kimberly. That would be our goal after I can shut my yap. Right? Oh, where are we going to get our food? Well, by my account, communities don't need corporations. Corporations need communities. Why? Because communities are the ones that have the farmers. So that's where we get our food, from the people in our community that grow it, right? We have alternate. You're not somebody that we want really as a part of this. You've already sort of shown the way that you come in like this, rather like this. And the fact that you don't think that men are a part of the problem is a huge part of the problem. So that's where I don't care if you agree with me, people. You see, they like used it as a thing. I was agreeing with you. I don't give a shit. You've lived a different life than me. So your experiences allow you to come to, oh, wow, your conclusion, right? My experiences bring me to a different conclusion. And I think a big problem with our society is we argue, well, this is my experience. Well, this is my experience. Why can't you see mine? Well, because they didn't live it, right? That's all it comes down to. So the corporate system does not work for us. Corporations, all they do is control access to food. Because who grows the food? Farmers. Farmers in your county are growing food. And it used to be, y'all, we did have a system before corporations. Do you know what it was? We would go buy our food from the farmers. That's it. So we go buy our food from the farmers. But shit, 100 years ago, we couldn't tell what they had for sale, what was available, what their hours were. So we would just show up. And a lot of times they didn't have what we wanted. So nice old, the Jenkins family said, hey, y'all, we're a part of the community too. What we'll do is we'll buy up all the farmers' food and put it in a central location, right? But then the Jenkins family, the kids, the parents passed away. The kids took it over. They didn't want to run the grocery store. They sold it to private equity. And now rather than having a local family run the grocery store as a steward for the community, like, hey, we don't want to get rich off of food. We're not going to make the prices so high that people in our community starve, because that's not what somebody should do with food to try to get super rich. You should cover your costs, make a living, and be a steward of what people need to live. That's how we fix this. Chosen One, you've got it. It's not just farmers co-ops. It's co-ops, it's essentials, right? We almost call it, it's like, you know how cost plus drugs, Mark Cuban's pharmaceutical corporation, cost plus drugs signals stewardship. Hey, we're not going to get super rich off of your medicine. We're going to get the cost of our drugs and the cost of our employees. We're going to be transparent about what those costs are. And then we're going to sell it to you, cost plus drugs. What about cost plus essentials? Cost plus food? Cost plus healthcare, right? So Nate, man, you are so right. Striking is the answer. That is what we are building towards. It's just that we call these strikes for the people that can strike. Hell yeah, join us. If you can't, think about why. Well, you're unable to strike, probably not because you don't want to, because you're stuck, right? Because you don't have enough savings. Because shouldn't we have 6 months of savings? Shouldn't we have a 6-month emergency fund? Give me a yes in the chat. 6 months emergency funds. Shouldn't we all have it? Because if we did have emergency funds, we would have the power to strike, right? Come on, Nate, man, where you at? Because that's what we need to do is strike. All this is a leverage play. Kelsey, I'm in Maryland. All this is a leverage play. Yes, Miss Pretty Face, to make sure. But it's not that we don't, Joey. We can't. There's a huge difference between unwillingness to strike and not able to strike. Can't strike. And can't striking all comes down to we can't strike because the average salary and the average cost of living are the same. Well, the average salary and the average cost of living is the same, not because of a coincidence, because corporations ran out all the competition. So there's no more mom and pop shops. You know, the only way that Walmart would raise prices. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were agreeing with this, Nate. I apologize then. I thought you wrote earlier something that seemed like strike is the answer. So I'm sorry then. But it's not just striking. It's striking is what gives us leverage to implement other actions. So, because right now we can get 10 million people to protest, but it doesn't even matter, right? Well, Miss Pretty Face, this is a full-on general strike. Like for the people that can, 30 days of no work. But what we're really trying to get people to see is if you can't strike for 30 days, you should have 6 months of savings in your bank account. The fact that we can't say no and we can't afford to strike, that is literally hurting us, right? So we need to create the mechanisms so that we can strike. And that would be staying connected, essentially. Because when we stay connected with people in our community, we find or build more local solutions. The way we see it is like this. Say you go to the next rally and with the intention of finding 5 people in your area that are also active. So you find those 5 people and you say, all right, we want to make boycotts last longer and strikes be more powerful. Well, the way we can do that is finding non-corporate options. It's by reducing our reliance on corporations. How do we reduce our reliance on corporations? Well, we look in our area. Who is providing the goods and services that we need to live that are not corporations? Oh, well, cool. There's little Jeff's grocery store there. What's up, Spicoli? There's James's general store over there. We can go to these. Oh, but we don't have any local grocery store. I wonder if that's something we can start. Maybe not a grocery store at the very beginning, but maybe we just start buying eggs from our local farmer. Oh, and then there's another local farmer that sells broccoli. Maybe we can get 100, 200 people to start buying eggs from the local farmer instead of going to the grocery store, right? That's the start of it. People don't support small businesses because oftentimes small business is a chore that is 30 minutes out of the way and 30% more expensive. We need to make it so it's comparable. And we can do that by changing the way that we spread the risk out in regards to businesses. It's 30% more because that person who's taking all the risk needs to try to make some money so they can pay for their life to live. But what if we mitigated the risk? What if we got a purchase order together of 100 people? This is really just bulk ordering together. What if we got a bulk order of eggs from 100 people? Not overnight, Kakashi. Maybe it takes 30 days. Maybe over the next 45 days, me and 3 friends each try to find 20 people, right? We each try to find 20 people. Then there's 60 of us that all want to buy eggs every single week. Then we can go to the local farmer. Hey, we want to buy 600 eggs every week. What could you sell us those for? And then people are getting a fresh product at the same price, and it's convenient too, right? So this is what we're building. And then that is the start of a co-op. Because say you get your 60 people, you find somebody else that can bring 40 people. Now you're buying 1,000 eggs a week from this farmer. And here's the beautiful thing that happens. Once you're buying 1,000 eggs a week from the farmer, you know what I would do? I would buy myself some chickens. And I'd say, hey, can I sell you 100 eggs a week? Because I got these chickens for my family, but if you guys are buying food for the community, I want to be a part of that. And then maybe Jeff does the same thing, right? That's what it is. Brittany, there's going to be, that's absolutely a portion of it. But man, those farmers, that land is theirs. Let them try, right? Farmers are just as sick of it too. And it's not every single one. We've got like 40 farmers in our group. The farmers do not want this. Farmers want to sell to us. They became farmers because they want to sell quality food to people in their area at an affordable price. But just like all of us, they were born into this situation, and it's all they know. Thanks, Deborah. Because that's where we are actually building what we need to stay connected. I am sick of protests I'm sick of people protesting on its own, right? Because protesting on its own will not work, right? Protesting on its own will not work. We need to stay connected afterwards. Not at all, Nate. Basically, corporations created the entire system that we're in. Corporations set up the economy, then corporations purchase the media, and now corporations own politicians. So the economy used to have lots of different competitors to corporations. So we were able, if a corporation treated us poorly, walk out and go shop somewhere else. So if enough of us walked out and went and shopped somewhere else, the corporations would do whatever they can to try to get us back in. And that was mainly provide more customer service. And they did that by paying more salary. Kinetic, I don't know where you got just once a month from. So, but Brittany, all of this is a part of that. So that's why we're not saying, hey, just do this thing. No, do your thing and connect it, because homesteading is the part of this. But healthcare doesn't matter with our homestead, right? Where are you getting your healthcare from? Electricity, you're still paying it to corporations. So until we figure out, everybody figures out their own electricity. But essentially, all the pillars of power in our society, the economy, the media, and the politics are turned against us. So we've got to recognize that the reason we don't have any power isn't just because we don't have any money. It's that because we don't control anything that we need to live. So we don't really have control over our food supply. Imagine if we controlled our food supply, right? We don't control our healthcare. Imagine if we controlled our healthcare. And James hit the nail on the head. That's what life is about. My God, James, that's all I want to do. And this is what's so funny, is that I was able to have security growing up so that I could take chances, so that I could get out of the corporate system, because it is suffocating. And what do people say? Oh, as soon as all your needs are met, you'll be lazy, you'll be this, you'll be that. No, as soon as all of humans' needs are met, the only thing they want to do is, rest for a little bit, because this system is so exhausting. But the moment that you don't have to struggle 40 hours a week for food, God, it's so insane that we fight for survival every month and we act like that's normal. And then it's like, oh, well, if humans aren't fighting for survival, they'll be lazy. No, James knows if humans aren't fighting for survival, all they want to do is help others and make sure that they don't have to fight for survival too. That's where it makes no sense that we think if people get food and housing and healthcare, that we'd be less productive. Tish Bliss, great name. And that's one of the biggest lies they've told. Because what do they happen? Oh, after you work a 40-hour week, all you want to do is sit down and scroll. So that means if all your needs were met forever, that your lazy ass would just sit down and scroll. No. It's like, maybe you've made me so exhausted that I need a moment to catch my breath. But then the moment I catch my breath, I want to go help the people in my community achieve the same security that I have. That's it. That's the point of a society, for the majority of us to have security, right? Because I love the thing that Mamdani kept saying was that, hey, the richest New Yorkers, do you want people taking crap on the streets? Do you want people screaming on the side of in the metro? Do you want people doing this? Well, no, then pay your taxes so we have money to take care of them. And that will make your life better so that you don't have to deal with that environment. That's how a society works. So what this is, we meet every single week. We are live every single day. We are building the community that we need to replace the rigged system. Because when systems are this broken, they don't get fixed. They get replaced when a better option comes along, right? Think of the world before cars, right? It was only horses. If we went back to 1890 and we try to describe how much more efficient cars were, no matter what we told that person, they would probably still say that horses are superior, right? They would probably, even if you gave them the most logical, factual argument in the world, they would be speaking from a place of emotions, because horses are all they've ever known. Horses are what they grew up with. Their pappy had a horse. Their mammy had a horse. Their first kiss was on a horse. So when you tell them, hey, in 20 years, all these horses are going away and we'll have iron horses, they'll be like, no, right? But that's not because it's not more efficient. It's because they just don't know any better, right? Or the better analogy, because cars aren't great either, is somebody who's lived in a house their entire life. And yeah, when they were a baby, that house worked great for them. But now that they've lived in it for 50 years, the house is leaky, it's drafty, it has mold, and it's causing them health issues. But because the person that built the house is still making money off of them sitting in that house, they put signs up all around the house. Danger, don't move to a new house. Danger, danger. So you come in and you're like, hey, I think your house is falling down. There is mold and it's leaky and you're sicker than you were last time I saw you. Why don't we go to that other house? Well, they're going to be terrified, right? Because this is the only house that they have ever known. So they're going to push back against you. They're going to say, no. That's where, Tish Bliss, we build the new house. We don't just tell them, hey, this is what the plans look like. This is what we're building. No, imagine it like this. When we actually build a system that works for people instead of against them, right? Because we're all so sick of grocery stores and general stores and every single corporate store not caring about us. But they only don't care about us because we don't have any leverage to make them care about us. Corporations never cared about us. It's just that they had to pretend to, or else we wouldn't shop there anywhere. But they have made it so that we're so dependent on the corporate system that they don't even need to pretend to care about us anymore. And so they screw us over every single chance they get. It starts off with making the average salary and the average cost of living about the same. And that happens when a store or a company has no real competition. Why doesn't Walmart pay their employees enough to smile? Well, I bet you if 100 of us that walked into Walmart every day walked our asses out and went somewhere else, they would start paying their employees more money to smile at us. But because they got rid of the local general stores, Walmart knows that we are consumers, not customers. Because damn, if every one of us had the opportunity to go to a store where you were a neighbor first and a customer second, we would. That's why the corporations got rid of them all, because we don't have any ability to vote with our dollar when there is no competition. And that leads us to not having enough savings to be able to have leverage over where our hard work goes. So that's why we can't strike either. How do we fix this? We replace the corporations. We replace the corporate system. Corey, that's crazy. Walmart offers millions of products. How can we possibly offer those? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you guys such a nasally voice. We don't replace all the products at Walmart right away, right? We don't replace all the products right away. You start with one product. We show people that it's possible. Because so many of us only know this corporate system. Who here is born 1980 or afterwards? Put your birth year in the chat. Put your birth year in the chat. If you don't want to, put a 1. 78, close enough. My 80s babies and later. My 80s babies. We only know this corporate system. Shit, 70s is early enough too. It's 70s and beyond, really. Oh, Meyer, you are very impressive. We only know this corporate system. We only know the corporate system. The farmers only know this corporate system. The doctors only know this corporate system. Us, born in the 70s, you heard whispers, oh, there used to be a general store there. Oh, I used to go to that local grocery store. But now those are gone, right? Now those are gone. So Kinetic, just a quick aside, you are disparaging the house that people have lived in for 50 years. That's why they've poisoned this language. We have to remember, corporations don't want us to move out of our house. They don't want us to change the current system at all. So they make people feel attached to the system. Remember, it's like if somebody was born into a house and 50 years ago, that house worked for them, right? Well, then you're going to fail. That is the problem. You can't fix this on your own. That's the whole thing, right? Okay, so we're talking about actual solutions then. That's all. So for the rest of us that would like to try to solve the issue rather than running, is making personal changes won't fix anything, right? It won't fix anything. It makes us feel a little bit better, but it's not going to solve the actual issue, because you can make as many personal changes as you want, but the corporations still control all the food. The corporations still control all the medicine. The corporations still control all the transportation and communication. So go ahead and make your choices, right? Amazon Web Service is everywhere. You can't not use Amazon, whether you move abroad or not. And we're saying, rather than running away, why don't we build a system where we can actually use the internet and Amazon isn't ubiquitous? We don't have to depend on Amazon. But right here, this is how we win. This isn't a ladder that we climb individually. This is a structure that all of us need to build together. Ryflex, if you listen to me, the answer is obvious. What we are also saying, though, is that they have poisoned progressive words. If we are only saying it's one of these three economic systems, and it's only these three economic systems that all humans must choose from for the majority of time, right? That's the thing. Not at all. We are the ones that do all the hard work, right? We are the ones. That grow the food, that provide the health care. This is localism. And so localism is understanding that we've got to build a different system, because no matter how much we speak out, that's not going to change things. So Ryflex, I'll give you the whole rundown then. I'm sorry. I thought you'd been with us for a little while. So what you said is very much a hint of the workers should control the means of production. And that is one of those phrases that has absolutely been poisoned. Now, the idea is correct. It's maybe not they should control the thing. It's, hey, workers and employers should understand that if an employer makes a capital investment, that doesn't mean that they own everything. They still are dependent on the workers, right? Me being an employer of 30 people, I understand the hell out of this. First off, I'm live every single day at 11 a.m. So come and see me tomorrow. I'm live on YouTube, live on Instagram. Go follow us on YouTube if you haven't yet. But I'm able to be live every day because my employees are fantastic at what they do, because I pay a ridiculously high salary, because I figured out that if your employees' needs are met and if they feel empowered by the business to build and grow and they get a piece of the profit that they help create, then you get to buy your time back. You get to have other people who, even though I started it, they're the ones running it now. So it needs to be a mutually beneficial relationship. And the people that are there, it always is between the business owners and the employees, the corporations and the employees, right? Scavenger, that would be great, because then they are escalating and then they are seeing. Kinetic, that's where we've got all this. We work with Flair. We work with Citizens Impeachment. We have work with General Strike. We have all of these different groups, right? It's called the massblackout.com. There's over 100 groups that are already a part of this. So that's where we are getting people to act. But then here's what it is. They speak out first, right? Here's what everybody goes through. This is pissing me off. I'm going to say something about it. Then if we're saying something about it, we're also recognizing, hey, we've got to change our personal choices. But then what happens? We recognize that we can't do it on our own. No matter how much Tish and me and Kinetic change our personal choices, nothing ever changes. That's because we depend on the same economic system. Like the economic system props up our political one. And every one of us are dependent on the very system, the corporate system that props up our political one, right? So until we reduce our dependence, those plans and solutions are going to be tough to implement, because all the corporations have to do is say, all right, you can't come to our pharmacies anymore. We're not selling insulin to anybody that is doing one of Kinetic Jewel's plants. Well, that's nonviolent too. All they have to say is, you can't go to our pharmacies anymore. And we're allowed to do that because we're a private business. That's it. You can't go see our doctors anymore. We're canceling your health insurance, and we're allowed to do that because you're a private business. So all that we're saying is that all of your plans and solutions will probably work a lot better if we control some of our food supply, if we control some of our healthcare, because we'll have more leverage to implement those solutions. Would love to hear what you think about that, because that's the whole thing. Would love to have all these solutions, but if they can literally cut off our food supply, if they literally can cut off, okay, they make that illegal too, right? That's what I'm saying. So what we're trying to do is we're going, okay, well, we're going to build our parallel system over here. We're still having people protest. We're still implementing solutions. But the whole goal is to be able to say, hey, fix this. And when they say no, then we just walk away. Because that's where, so you're just telling everybody to break the law for what? That's where Kinetic, it's difficult talking to you because it feels very contrarian. Everything I say is that 2-letter word, right? I say, well, hey, they can ban that. Well, we can go to Canada. Well, they could probably stop us. No, they couldn't. You know what I mean? It just makes it tough, especially when, like, I have thought about this. I've got graphics, we've got websites, we've got hundreds of thousands of people, but that's why we have the Discord. Sorry, I didn't put it up here sooner. So we've actually got places. We meet every single Sunday. And we've got places where we come together to take that action. But like you said, the first step is getting people to take action. And they're really only going to do that when they have hope, right? And right now, I think most people can see that we don't control the essentials. We don't control our own food supply. So if we don't control our own food supply, it will be really hard to change things. If we don't control our own medicine, it's going to be really hard to change things. So what we're saying is, if we take back control over some of our food, that reduces the dependence that we have on corporations. And that reduced dependence gives us more leverage to implement solutions. Well, this is where it's funny. It's like, hey, let's not start a new system because it potentially might sell out. So what we're talking about, localism, is really funny that you mentioned that, because there's no way to sell out to big money. Because the whole point of localism is that companies can't get too gigantic because they get so big that they can manipulate and dominate communities. So with localism, rather than having, 1,000 franchises owned by one person, well, one person starts the franchise and then it's a co-op. If they want to build another location in another community, they have to get a community member who lives in that community, who is accountable to the residents. And essentially, when we control the essentials, it's not about making money. It's about providing what humans need to live at an affordable cost, while also covering our own costs. Let me go back to the example that we use, which is cost plus drugs. Cost plus drugs is Mark Cuban's pharmaceutical company. Cost plus drugs is showing that, hey, we are stewards of your medicine, right? We are stewards of your food. We're not here to get rich, right? We're not here to get rich off of your medicine. We're not here to get rich off of your food, because you need medicine to live, right? So that's what cost plus drugs means. What's up, Mary? So cost plus drugs. So it's the cost of the pharmaceutical drug, right? There's the one expense, and the cost of the employees. That's the cost. So it's literally saying, hey, we're not gouging you on this. We're taking what we buy the drug for, $50. We're taking what it costs for us to pay our employees, $5. And that's what we're selling you this medicine for, $55. The cost of the medicine plus the cost of goods sold. And that is what we're selling it to you. It implies stewardship. Hey, we're not getting rich off of the pharmaceuticals that you need to live, off of your insulin, right? What if we had the same thing, but for food? Cost plus food. Hey, y'all, I'm not trying to get rich off your food. I want to provide you quality food at an affordable price. And it would be really nice if I had the ability to do this permanently. And in order to do that, I need to cover my cost of living. So if the service I provide is good enough, hey, there's a 25-cent fee on top, and come use us instead, right? That's the thing. We're sick of corporations having all the power. We're sick of paying corporations for our health insurance for our whole life. And then when we need to go use that health insurance, they don't give it to us anymore. Absolutely, Michael Joe. That's what I'm saying. Because here's what being profitable allows that small business, that co-op to do. It allows them to introduce a barter economy, right? Maybe if they make money from 10 people, they've got enough to cover their needs, right? Then when that 11th person comes along and they're like, I don't have enough money to cover it today. You're not looking to get rich. All you really want is for that person to get their food without you being taken advantage of. So you tell them, oh, well, I was just about to stack all these boxes and load them up in the car. It takes about an hour. if you do this for me, then I'll give you the box of eggs, right? Alsman, that's fine. If you don't know, you don't know. If you are cool with the way our country's going, more power to you, right? And that's where we need to take a lesson from that. The people whose head are stuck in the sand is not worth, right? It is not worth it to try to change their mind. Because damn, if they still don't think anything's wrong, when will they think something's wrong? Really, the requested is oh, sorry, Alsman, you're right. Here I am, be it having my myopic view on life. That was the best comeback ever. I eat crow. Give me, where's my foot? Let me finish cost plus drugs. So that's where it's so funny, right? Not against capitalism whatsoever. I am a business owner. I've got 6 locations and 30 employees. It just is capitalism really works the best when there is corporations trying to get rich as fuck, employees and community members trying to live, and politicians kind of were the ones that helped correct the imbalance, right? When corporations try to not pay us money and pay us in Walmart bucks, well, politicians stepped in and are like, yo, you can't do that. When corporations try to allow children to work for us, politicians are supposed to step in and be like, nah, you're not for that, right? And Kinetic, you've got to see the difference between what I was saying and what you were saying. We're saying the same thing, but you will turn them off. That's the difference. You don't know if that person loves capitalism or not. Even if they love capitalism, I guarantee there are many things they are feeling pain from. So when you come in with this loaded language, look at his response, with this loaded language, they're like, bro, what? We need to meet people where they're at, right? Andy's just trying to say, what are you guys talking about? And I'm starting from the beginning. Hey, we're all working 40 hours a week, right? We're all working 40 hours a week, and we're still falling farther behind. Doesn't that fucking suck? And then people are like, yeah, that does suck. And we're like, well, yeah, we believe that that's happening, not by accident, because corporations want to make sure that we don't really have any savings. Because if we don't have any savings, we can't really push back against corporations, right? No one is demanding something for nothing. We are literally saying this is a small business revolution, a cost plus revolution. That rather, like, every single Walmart parking lot should have swap meets and farmers markets. Every single grocery store should have farmers markets there. Because when we can walk out of the corporate store and go to a competitor, well, that's what holds the corporation accountable. So they made sure to get rid of all the competition. But Andy, if I can start back over, would love to tell you again. So essentially, we are sick of corporations screwing all of us over pretty much every chance they get. Healthcare companies are the easiest to see because we pay healthcare. We pay into healthcare our entire lives. Yet when we need it, they're not like, oh, this person needs healthcare. They need that to live. Let's make sure we pay it to them, give it to them, regardless of the cost. Because, let's just make sure that even then, regardless of the cost, let's make sure they've paid more throughout their life than what this will. And I guarantee the majority of people have paid more throughout their life than what their procedure to save their life would cost. But that's not the way that we do things, right? Because healthcare insurance or healthcare companies are motivated by making as much money as possible, not by keeping you alive, not by keeping your parent alive, but so the CEOs can hit their bonus because the stock price went high enough. That's fucking weird. Speaking of the stock prices, we also just think it's weird that the stock prices go up and up and up, but our salaries all stay the same. And y'all, I'm going to call it out again. When we're calling out the system, you're saying, hey, that house you've lived in for 50 years, the only house you've ever known, it's failed. That they're going to respond emotionally. You've no longer made it a, how can we connect? It's how can I be right? We're trying to show people that, because this is really the problem. The system hasn't served people for a very long time. But the system almost protects itself, right? Michael Joe Sexton is claiming it's undereducated consumers. But who does the undereducating? The corporate system. They make it so that the parents have to work 40 hours and they get like what? 3 hours a night with their children? So everything that we think is the problem is a symptom of the corporate system. So yeah, consumers are undereducated, part of the corporate system. Yeah, we don't have a lot of options. That's a design of the corporate system. Oh man, we do depend on them for our food. That's a design of the corporate system. Because really, that's smart as shit. If you want to control a population, you take over their food and you can charge them as much as you want. Because what are you going to do? Not buy food? If you're a corporation and you don't give a shit about the people on this earth and you just want to get as rich as mother effing possible, those discount grocery stores are corporate grocery stores though, Michael. You pay your health insurance to corporations. You drive a car that was built by a corporation, right? Kinetic, that's all we're saying. That's all that we're saying. Is that no matter what changes we implement, if Monsanto still controls all our seeds, they will get the power back. No matter what changes we implement, if they control all of our electricity makes me mad because we're the ones that actually paid. No, Andy, I think that you and I are probably on the same idea. Right? Capitalism is a big reason why everything seems this way. I agree with you, right? I agree with you 100%. My analogy why I don't go full on about that term is because they've taken progressive language and they've poisoned it. They've turned it against us. So my first talking point is essentially, it's not left versus right, it's up versus down. They want us fighting over 1,000 different symptoms that we believe is the problem, because if we're fighting over the symptoms, we never agree on the cure and work towards a solution. So that's the first step. We fight over left is right. We fight left and right. Then if we agree, okay, it is up versus down, the very next thing people fight about is, well, you don't want communism, do you? Well, I don't know about socialism. Well, capitalism is great, so it's kind of like we have to use capitalism. So I just stay away from all those words because number one, humans can come up with a different economic system, right? There's not only 3 economic systems out there, but we literally act like over the last century, humans have to use one of 3 economic systems. Well, that's why we are called localism. Localism actually supports democracy rather than having to be reined in by it. Because localism makes sure that businesses don't become behemoths, right? If businesses don't become behemoths, then they're not in a position where they have all the leverage to screw over communities. We keep people understanding that, communities have the power. No community in the world, or it's like, sorry, there have always been communities. Corporations are new. That's because corporations rely on the communities that came before them, right? Communications or corporations rely on the communities that came before them, because communities are the ones that grow the food. Communities are the ones that have the healthcare providers, the construction workers. We're the ones that actually provide the value in a society, right? And this is where Moose, I don't care, y'all. So this is the big thing. We have to understand Moose had a different life than me, right? Right? And you were literally looking like, what, 300 years ago? I'm talking about the beginning of society. Humans came together, cooperated as one. And so, you said it earlier. Who mentioned it? How do we change this? Well, we change this by recognizing that corporations have control over the essentials. That's food, housing, healthcare. But we are the ones that actually build and maintain the systems that provide us the essentials, the food, the housing, the healthcare. But corporations control access to it, right? Corporations control access to it. So we try to go get the food that somebody in our county grew, but corporations made it out of reach because they're all about profit. Whereas in localism, the farmer might be working with somebody else local to to grow a food buying network. But the farmer's goal isn't to get rich. Their goal is to cover their costs and to maybe have 10% left over so that if they needed to barter or trade or time bank so that other people could get food without having to pay for it, that's why they're there. This is what my business is. Like, we are successful because we care more. That's it. We know every one of our customers' names. We smile like hell, right? Oh, no, I hear you, Moose. It just is both ways. No, Slicker, right? You're 100%. Slick, that's what it was. Corporations used to work for us back when the person, and this is why we know localism will work. Corporations were fine up until private equity came in and they took all the heart out of it, right? Because the corporation worked when, like me, the person who is providing the goods and services is a part of that community. I would never do anything to hurt our community because, number one, I'm not under any pretenses why my business is successful. My business is successful is because we care about our community members. And sometimes that means sacrificing profits to show that. And that is fine. Because when you put people over profits, the community remembers. And that's essentially what this is. We're not going to be able to offer more products than Walmart, or, we might not be able to offer oranges all year round if we have a local grocery store. But damn, Tish, I'm going to joke and say, I will remember your name when you walk in. And I'll say, Tish Bliss, I'm sorry, we don't have oranges this week. I remember that you like them. And even though they don't have oranges, the fact that that person cared is what keeps you coming back. You might be able to go get your oranges from Walmart, but they're full of seeds, they're crappy, and who knows what kind of pesticides they use. Whereas when you go to that local grocery store, they know the freaking farmer, Moose the farmer, grew this corn. And Moose actually switched what they're using to control bugs to a less harmful, more organic, because they care about this community, because they don't want that running off into the local stream that the kids play in. Kinetic, that's why I'm fucking jazzed about this. Once people realize that the ants in a bug's life didn't take power when they realized it was 100-1. The ants in a bug's life took back control when they realized, oh, they need us for food, y'all. They need us for food. Why are we listening to them? Oh, simply because we were born into a situation where the people that came before us told us that we had to listen. Discord link is in the bio. I haven't said it very much today, so I did all this. And whole point is to stay connected. I'm forgetting. Hey, we're all doing better every day, right? But we can't monolith an entire generation, because Kinetic, I promise, and not to pick on you, you've obviously thought about this a lot. I appreciate you. It's not just them, though, because I used to say that, and then I would get like 10 people. We used to get more people before we got throttled. But I know, but there are boomers that have been working 40 hours a week for 40 years and still have nothing to show for it. And frustratingly, my parents are the boomers on the other side, right? And I'll do a little personal thing. And my mom worked for a corporate job and got the hell of the got a hell of a corporate package, but then got screwed over come the middle of the 2000s. And my dad always had a small business, but the small business catered to construction companies. So all of his buddies were the construction workers that built the houses while the asshole in the truck got paid. So I got a very unique perspective. I was able to see the corporations first take care of my mother because she was an outstanding employee, then do everything they can to screw her over and fire her. All along, my dad got taken advantage by the big corporations because he was a small little business. And then all of his buddies got screwed even more because now none of their backs work and they've got half a knee. But we are all paying for it. Well, Michael Joe, the problem is the biggest thing there is that they made making your own way a rite of passage. They made being able to afford your own food and housing and healthcare a personal goal, a personal accomplishment, even though it is not a personal accomplishment. It is a societal accomplishment. But that's the reason people don't do that in mass. Same reason we won't eat bugs. Because we were told this. So I was able to grow up and get the security that I needed. I was able to take chances and hopefully come somewhere near my potential. And so because I was able to take chances, I could start a business. Because I was able to start a business, you could then start not working to live, right? You finally get a little buffer. And the moment you get a little bit of savings and you're like, holy shit, how does anybody live fighting for survival every day? It changes your brain chemistry. When every day you wake up and you know, I have to go do all these things I don't want to, because if I don't, in 30 days, I won't be able to eat. That keeps us desperate. And desperate people are more likely to afford to take that minimum wage job. Desperate people are more likely to accept a lying, manipulative boss because you don't have any other options, because you don't have any leverage, because you rely on that lying manipulator for food and housing and healthcare, and they know it. So as long as we rely on the corporate system, Vibrant, there is no method of fixing it. It's whatever that method is, we have to be the ones to control our food supply first. We have to be the ones to control our healthcare first. We have to be the ones to control our housing first. Because if we don't control them, anything that we try to implement, they will simply say, oh, you can't shop at our grocery stores anymore. Oh, you can't shop at our pharmacies anymore. Oh, that's it. I'm very open to knowledge. I just have 2 young children. They get home at 12:30. It's now 12:32. It's so funny. People are like, they all, main character, where it's like, I do have other things going on. I do have a business and 3 young children, and I'm helping to run the Discord. And it just is a lot. So I have a little bit of a limited time. Yeah, Kinetic, I gotta applaud you. Because it's not that I was unkind, but I didn't use the baby gloves on you. And I appreciate you for sticking with it, listening. Because I'm willing to be, I want to change and do. No, I don't, because when you come in like that, you are acting like you are the most important person in the world. There's a literal Discord that we have that you could get access to me 24/7. I just told you that my children are coming home, and I'm simply killing a minute or 2 before they come in. I'm going to cancel it, go eat lunch. But I guess in your eyes, I just don't realize the importance, even though I'm dying for people to bring us action items, right? Oh, Ryflex. That is only for Discords that are 18 and above. So if our Discord was set for mature only, then everybody would have to do it. But if you don't do it, our Discord is not that way, so you don't have to do it. And essentially, your account will just be set as a minor account. So you can't go to mature Discords. That's the only thing. So we've got all these people in our Discord. Not a single one are given their ID. Everybody is going to have what's called a minor account. And the only thing that affects is you can't go to 18 plus Discords, to mature rated Discords, right? Oh no, Kinetic, you're amazing. That's where. Oh, Kinetic, yeah, that wasn't to you at all. Sorry, bud. Oh, Tish Bliss. I try. It's just really the hardest part is balancing their future. Like, it's like, here's my analogy. It's like we all have stage 5 cancer, but without having the cure, we kind of run around like a crazy person trying to figure it out. And I really enjoy doing this because what I like doing is being like, oh, like, well, I think this is the problem. Because stage 5 cancer is really scary, but it's even scarier when you have no idea what to do. So it's like we all went into the doctor's office, and at different times, we're told you've got stage 5 cancer. And we run out and we change the way we eat and we go exercise and we exhaust ourselves. We get burnt out. And we protest and all this. And all that I think we need is to be like, yup, we've got stage 5 cancer. If we all follow this same cure, everything will actually be okay. Everything will actually be okay. Kinetic, I am sorry to hear. Keep fighting. Way to go. Because that's what it really is. If you walked in and got a terrible diagnosis and they didn't tell you anything else, you'd be terrified, right? But if you walked in and got a terrible diagnosis and got a step-by-step plan how to mitigate the disease, you feel a lot more confident. And that was the hope that I was talking about earlier, right? That's what I was talking about earlier. Michael Joe, you just don't get it. So if somebody is born without legs, we should just let a child without legs just deal with it. If a little baby is born and they need life-saving medicine, if the parents can't do it, we shouldn't do it. The whole point of a society is understanding that if everybody gets to live up to their potential, that the world will be better for all of us. Until you understand that we need to act cooperatively, they literally have brainwashed you into believing that you paying for other people will hurt you, right? And that's really sad, because if I could pay money to save someone else's life, like obviously not bankrupt, but if we could all put in a little bit of money and it saved someone else's life, you bet your ass I'd put that money in, because that someone is somebody's child. That someone is someone's friend, right? This is about understanding that we are better when we work cooperatively. The people up top, the people in charge, the 1%, they're not richer than us because they have more money. They're richer than us because they cooperate and work together, right? That's what it comes down to. So if you haven't, go follow us on YouTube. Go join the Discord. Discord's got all this information in document format, in visual format. Somebody said visual learners earlier. Well, I got all the visuals that you need, because I'm the same way. I often like make this visual. I'm like, wait, what is this? And then I like create an accompanying document to Tish Bliss. I'm on every single day at 11 a.m. having the same discussion, because this is the entry point to localism. Oh, and by the way, the Discord is set up so that you break out by state. Every single state has their own state facilitator. You're able to go ahead and meet other people in your state locally. The whole goal is, during the March for Democracy coming up, during the March 7th protest, and especially during the No Kings protest, the whole goal is to go to your No Kings. Thank you, Michael Joe. I think the same of you. Because we're able to have a conversation, my man. That's all that I ask is, why is it that here's the thing, if I think the last 3 digits of pi are, or last 10 digits are 3.761492, and Michael Joe thinks the last 4 digits of pi are 3.769143, and this is what I wanted to be there for, is when my little girl gets home. So I'm going to go up. Love you all. Bye, everybody.